The veil has lifted. Now, thanks to the valiant efforts of the folks over at South Park, the fight against victimhood and wokeism has finally gone mainstream. Gone are the days of us shouting from the rooftops, only to have our warnings fall upon deaf ears. Where we were once marginalized as a bitter, jealous, and hateful minority, the rest of the world is finally catching up.
Oh, wait, you're ethnic?
Boy, you're in the major league if you've made it into South Park. Guess all those dreams of grandeur do come true, huh, Meghan? You know, I haven't watched South Park since I was a teenager, so I don't know if all of their episodes are this good, but my God, was this a masterpiece or what? It was satire at its absolute finest. Hands down, no competition. Everybody else just go home. I mean, where do I even start? Where do I even start? I watched that episode maybe more than a couple of times, by the way, because I was showing various friends and family members, and every single time I watched it, I laughed just as hard as the first time. That scene at the Good Morning Canada, I was gonna say America, Canada interview, I laughed. Or is it cried? Whatever it is, I cried so hard. I laughed so hard that I started to cry. And it's not just funny because it's crude or over the top or just for the sake of comedy. It's funny because it's true. Even people who aren't as invested in this topic, who don't really know much about the couple, like my brothers, for example, as we watched, they kept saying, it's funny because it's so true though. The comment about Harry being the ultimate hypocrite when he claims to hate journalists, even though he's effectively become one, true. The comment about Meghan being an
Instagram-loving bitch wife
who coveted the limelight her entire life, that's all true. Their relentless whining and complaining about wanting privacy while simultaneously brandishing themselves in front of all of us, all over the world, whether we like it or not. Only to then complain all the more when it backfires, which it almost inevitably always does. True, spot on. It's like the creators of South Park have been keeping an eye on this couple for a while now. The private jets, the victimhood, the selling a brand instead of coming across as actual human beings. There's even a scene where Kyle, the protagonist, comes home and finds his front door plastered with every single magazine cover Meghan's ever been on, including The Cut. Did you guys spot that? It's just pure brilliance. I can't. It's too good. South Park, I wish I had a hat. I have a lot of caps. I don't have a hat right now, but hold on. I take my hat off to you. Great, now I have hat hair. If I had to pick a favorite moment, it would definitely be when the host of the Good Morning Canada interview introduces Harry's book and effectively renames it for him, immortalizing the new name because spare? What's spare? From this day forth, we shall all refer to Harry's memoir as
Wah.
It's like the creators of South Park took everything we've all been saying about the Sussexes for the past few years and condensed it into 21 minutes of pure brilliance. Everything we see in this episode is an exaggeration. In some areas, I wouldn't even call it an exaggeration, actually. An accurate portrayal of what these two represent, and more importantly, of how they have actually been behaving. Anyone who knows anything about these two and who watched the episode will understand that they did this all to themselves. Is that cat hair? The world adored them when their engagement was first announced. The world rejoiced when they had that fairy tale wedding. The one that they put up for us plebs, of course. And while a few of us started to see right through them very early on, the vast majority of the world continued to give them the benefit of the doubt or even a free pass altogether when they clearly started acting up and that facade, that mask, started to slip off because you can't keep a mask on forever. And the crazy thing is This support, this benefit of the doubt, lasted pretty much until the release of the Netflix docuseries. And even then, some people felt bad for them. They believed it until it was followed by
Wah.
the pure genius of this all. Or maybe tragedy is the right word, because this is a tale of self-destruction that we are all witnessing. The thing about it that really strikes a chord is everything we've been saying about them over the past few years. They have now confirmed through their own words and actions. Only now, rather than it being some obscure or, inflated clickbaity headline published by the media, or what some people might say speculation on the part of YouTubers, it was done in a reality show that was not only produced by them, but starred Meghan and Harry. The world got to see them for who they really are because they put themselves on that global platform, on that really high pedestal that you just can't miss. And the same goes for the book. Harry himself proudly says time and time again, this is straight from me, straight from my mouth. You don't have to go read it in some headline or some unnamed palace source. This is my truth as I experienced it. And that's why the backlash has been so severe, because they can't hide behind that excuse now of,
oh, the media's twisting everything we're saying.
Oh, they're racist and sexist and they don't like Meghan and they're all jealous and bitter.
no. People are judging you now for what you yourself have shared willingly, for millions of dollars, of course, with the world. So I guess some more thank you notes are in order, and this time addressed to Meghan and Harry, because hey, thanks for confirming everything we've been saying over the past few years. Ironically, if you actually watched the entire episode, at the very end, the way that the prince handled the situation is actually a lot more mature and healthy than the way Prince Harry is handling everything.
Hello?
Because at least the South Park prince finally sees the error of his ways and even walks out on his own wife when he realizes that he just wants to lead a normal life. He just wants to be human. But she doesn't. She stays behind and sides with the Cumhammer manager, which is the brand management company featuring throughout this episode, where everyone's image should somehow include the word victim, no matter how successful they are. And the South Park creators have been paying attention because they've just injected these little details that are so accurate. For example, where we learn that Meghan's character in South Park has always had an account with that brand management company ever since she was a child. It's accurate because if you read Tom Bower's book, she did indeed spend practically her entire adult life before meeting Harry, and of course even after, crafting her image, going to these PR companies, to these agents, and literally in one instance telling an agent, I want you to make me a humanitarian. So it's not her actually being a humanitarian, naturally gravitating towards these issues, going to poverty-stricken areas without the cameras, shoved down people's faces, and her endless change of wardrobe, as I read about her visit to Africa in early 2016 in Rwanda. That was all a curation. And she's been doing this for a while, depending on what her target is. So initially she wanted to be this glamorous actress / model, and that's how she was described on her Wikipedia page. That got her into Soho House, and she was with the rich and famous of, Canada. And then when that wasn't enough for her, she recrafted her image to target Prince Harry. And he fell for it, like we see in his book,
Wah.
where he describes how he went through her Instagram and noticed that, she went to Africa and she was surrounded by orphans and she's such a good humanitarian and she's just like me. We have so much in common. So kudos to you, Meghan. Again, I take my... No, I'm not taking my hat off for her. Who am I kidding? So, where to from here, I wonder? Another scathing public lashing a la Jeremy Clarkson in an attempt to cancel South Park? Because they failed with Jeremy Clarkson, and I got some news from Meghan and Harry. If they want to cancel South Park, they're gonna have to get in line, because a long list of people have tried in the past and to no avail. I mean, it's satire. It's virtually uncancelable. And can you imagine, this is what I like to imagine, it may not be true, but can you imagine, just humor me, the satisfaction that William and Catherine must be feeling, or are probably feeling, over this entire thing? Now, I don't know for a fact that they've watched the episode, but they are millennials. I mean, they are tuned in. Not that you have to be a millennial to be tuned in. You can be older and younger, obviously, but it wouldn't be beyond the realm of possibility that they watched the episode, whether it's because they were personally curious or someone from their staff told them to, or their friends or their family. But judging from the huge smiles that they had at the BAFTAs, which both of them looked stunning as usual, beautiful couple, so easy on the eyes, I'd say they're pretty pleased. After all, they're the ones who get to go to these glitzy and glamorous red carpet events. They're the ones who have top-tier celebrities curtsying and bowing to them. The very celebrities that Meghan dreams of rubbing shoulders with. They're the ones who are relevant. And they didn't have to sell their souls and their own families to achieve that. This, ladies and gentlemen, is what we call poetic justice.